Welcome, you guys. I don't know if it's coming up live on Facebook yet, but I intentionally changed my background because this is my group that we swim with. This was a big group we had last spring. And this is James, who I mentioned, a swimmer who learned how to swim in 2019, or actually in 2020. We started in December in the ocean because we had no pools to swim in. And he went on to do the Alligator Lighthouse swim. And as I said, he beat me at our swim tests a few weeks ago. So he's really come a long way. And because he was a brand new swimmer, he didn't have to reprogram. It was actually simpler to learn the skill of swimming because he didn't have a lot of bad habits. So I wanted to say hello again and welcome back. Day 2. We are talking all about the swim, right? So looking for me to go live. Do you see me out live yet, Ollie? Because I don't. I want to make sure it's working and that it says we're live on Facebook. So sometimes there are some connection issues. And I'll be looking. So again, say hello. Okay, good. We're there. And I want to see your comments and stuff. So yeah. Issues. Okay. And I'll be looking. So again, say hello. Okay. Turn the volume down. Okay, well, welcome back. If this is your first day here, welcome. And I love having, I got a few more registrants. And I wanted to say hello to a few people. Ann Dolan just joined us. She's coming to camp with us. So I'm super excited to meet you, Ann, and help you work on your triathlon skills. And thanks for joining this virtual camp because it kind of gives you a little introduction to what we're going to be doing hands-on together at camp. Daniel says, how are you? I haven't seen you in a while. Actually, I think you were at camp a couple years ago. That was the last time I actually saw you. Jeremy Brown, all the way from the United Kingdom. I know he doesn't sometimes log in during the live call, the live Facebook feed, but I know he's watching later. Neverson James, I know we've been trying to connect for a while, but welcome. Don't forget to ask questions. Thank you so much to the people that have posted, whether it's an image of one of your workouts where you blew up. Thanks, Larry, for posting that. But clearly you can see, I'll give you some feedback on there, but you need the fuel to be able to maintain that heart rate. And some other people, Ronaldo Barron, good to see you. Yeah, so welcome. We got 3 more days of virtual triathlon skills camp, and today is all about the swim. So swimming is one of my favorite things, and just a little bit of background about it before we do some breath work, as you guys know, to help us all get present. But for me, I did not grow up as a swimmer. I definitely didn't learn. I wasn't one of those kids that went to swim class. I loved to swim and be in the pool and play around and stuff, but I definitely never took a swim lesson, not one single swim lesson as a kid. So when I came to the sport of triathlon, I did my first race. I actually did a couple of adventure races where I pretty much almost drowned. And then I did my first triathlon, and it was bad. As if you ever read my email about it, I swallowed a gallon of water. My head was up pretty much the whole time. It was way harder than I had anticipated. There were actually really big waves. So it was a struggle for me. And when I got out of the swim, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to bike and run now? Because I wasted so much energy. And it just so happened that I was like, okay, I need a coach, right? So I contacted a coach who turned out to be my husband eventually, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, he worked with me. And even after that first lesson, right, the first lesson of him pointing out just 3 things to focus on, my next race was just completely different. So if you've never had a swim video analysis, I highly recommend it. I mean, we're going to go over a lot of things today where I'm going to show you what it looks like to be a good swimmer and some of the things that I use. But I can tell you now, I'm usually top 3 out of the water in my age group, sometimes first out of the water in my age group, and sometimes even overall. So my swimming has come a long way. I love the ocean. I love to swim, whether it's in the pool, but I love open water swimming, and I'm a free diver as well. And I love to stand up paddleboard. So anything in the ocean, I'm happy. But swimming for me has become a very therapeutic event. And it's not that way for so many people. And it makes me sad, right? Because swimming is so amazing and healing. The water is so healing, but so many people have that fear. Maybe there was some trauma You know, maybe someone threw you in the ocean or the pool as a child and you have fear. Maybe you saw the movie Jaws. There are so many reasons why people have fear of the water. But we're going to get into that as well about why you might be struggling. Okay. So first we're going to do a little breathing. So we're going to do some alternate nostril breathing, and you're going to hold this is your ring finger. You're going to close your left nostril and inhale for 4 seconds. And then we're going to switch and exhale out your right. And we're going to alternate, and we'll do 4 rounds. So it's just inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. It's pretty simple, but it's called alternate nostril breathing. And it kind of just really helps you get focused if you have a little brain fog and it's the afternoon and you don't want to have any coffee. So we're going to take a nice deep breath in, big deep breath out with a big sigh, and then block your left nostril. Inhale through your right nostril. Block it, exhale. Good, inhale left. Block. Good, inhale. Exhale. Good. Let's go 2 more rounds. Inhale. Switch, exhale. Good, inhale. Same side, switch, exhale. Last round, inhale. Switch, exhale. Inhale. And release. So hope you guys are here with me, feet on the ground in the present moment. So, just going back to swimming. So swimming is one of those things, and back to the skill. So how to become an expert swimmer. There are so many things to consider in the water, right? So how to move your body through the water with the least amount of resistance. That is the ultimate goal. But you must also know where to apply your force to be able to push yourself through the water or pull yourself forward in the water. So there's a couple different components there, and that's what makes swimming so difficult for a lot of people, right? So things to consider in the swimming skill department is that we're land mammals, okay? So we are meant to be on land. And there is some programming in our brains, in our subconscious brain, that a survival mechanism kind of goes off when we are in the water. And if you don't have experience in the water or comfort in the water, sometimes that trigger is a little bit louder, saying, keep your head up, it's not safe. So reprogramming that you are safe in the water comes from repetition and skill building and confidence, right? So the more you get in the water and play around and have fun and realize that it is a safe place, when you respect it and you know what to do in the water, it can be amazing. It can be such an awesome thing to include, right? Besides wanting to do a triathlon, swimming is just so therapeutic. So sometimes we have to overcome our land mammal programming. And breathing is usually one of the biggest limiters, and we're going to get into that today. So PTSD, I mentioned that. So post-traumatic stress disorder from a previous experience in the water. So say, like I said, somebody pushed you in when you were a kid and you didn't know how to swim. There's a big fear of dying, right? So that's real fear. And sometimes that gets programmed into your subconscious. We hold on to a lot of the experiences that happen to us between 0 and 7 years old, all the way up to 14 years old. Your subconscious can really hold on to experiences. And a lot of times they come out in the water and we don't know why. So we're swimming along and we just have this intense fear and we can't think about anything else. I mean, I've worked with many, many swimmers over the years, and we've had to do some reprogramming in the water itself and about the water to overcome these fears. And it's very, very normal. And another big fear is what's in the water, especially the open water. So if you guys keep saying hi. Oh, hi, Shannon, my sister. She's a swimmer too. She's done a triathlon. But yeah, so overcoming that fear in the water is definitely something that I work with people a lot about. And we actually do tapping. So I don't know if you guys know what emotional freedom technique is, but it's a great tool to help reprogram your subconscious that now you're not that child that got pushed into the water and can't save themselves. You actually now are an adult and you have the skills to be able to save yourself and control the situation and actually enjoy the process. So sometimes we have to do some reprogramming in the moment, or I've done it virtually with people who tell me, okay, I struggle in the water. I can't do it. We've done tapping, on a Zoom call together to help them kind of reprogram all that fear. Okay, so land mammals, PTSD. Okay, flexibility is one of the biggest considerations to limiting your swim. If you're struggling and you don't know why, like you're going through the body mechanics, we're going to go through all the body mechanics on what to do for swimming. But if you can't do it, there's a good chance your flexibility is causing a lot of the problems. And we're going to get to where you need to be mobile and flexible in what areas of your body. Because if you can't hold a streamline, then you're always going to be creating more drag in the water. So flexibility is a hugely overlooked component of swimming. And then strength. So I have a lot, I'm not dishing women, of course, I'm a female, but in general, women have less upper body strength and more lower body strength. And they have typically really good form in the water. They might be doing everything right, but they're not actually producing any force to pull themselves forward with their arms or propel themselves forward with the kick. And the reason is strength. They just don't have the core and upper body strength that guys do. And guys, what will happen, they actually muscle their way through the water and they might not look as good, but somehow they're able to pull themselves through because they're overdoing it muscularly, right? So there's benefits, positives and negatives to the female body and the anatomy as it is, but women sometimes need to do the strength work. And I have some great swim specific strength moves that actually help you tune in to using your lats to start pulling yourself forward and using your hips to start kicking from as opposed to your knees. Actually, I just posted a video today about 5 minutes ago on the best swim drill that you can do on land, the strength building drill to help engage your lats. So that's a great one to watch or check out. And if you're not on my email list, go ahead and pop your email below or register for the this event and you'll get your worksheet as well. Okay, so timing. Timing is a big one, and it's the last component to being able to learn how to swim well, because you have to have a foundation of flexibility, breathing, balance, kicking, having all your stroke mechanics down. And then that last piece is the timing of putting it all together. So the other tricky thing about swimming is you have to learn things progressively. It's not like I'm going to teach you what to do with your arms and you're going to become a better swimmer. We have to go step by step by step. And so that's what we're going to kind of do today. And we're going to cover in depth my top 3 skills as promised to master your swimming, but there are actually a lot more skills that you need to master. But these top 3 are the most important right now. And the first one is breathing. The second one is balance. And the third one is kicking. And believe it or not, I have athletes that come to me and have done many Ironmans and their breathing is not there. It blows my mind that they've been able to pull off these amazing events and these long distance races, swimming 2.4 miles, and their breathing is completely off. And it blows my mind. And when they learn finally how to breathe properly in the water, I mean, life-changing improvements, right? They get so much faster because they're more relaxed in the water. So what I want to do is I'm going to share my screen. And let me just go through any questions. So thanks for saying hi. I'm glad everybody's back. Dean's back. Ollie's back. Mary Liz is back. Mary Liz, I'm waiting on my rock star. I'm waiting for my answers. Hey, Larry. Hey, Jen. Good to see you again. Thanks for posting. So yeah, I know you wanted that sub 6:30 triathlon, but I want to see where it's going to come from, because I know you did a half, I think it was North Carolina last year. So it'd be good to compare, like use that as a guideline from your past results, and then create the new dream, try Calc 3. and go ahead and post it. I know Ollie and Jack have posted theirs. Driving to the bully ride where the goal is to drop everyone, the ultimate testosterone dump. Oh, perfect. So this, Larry, that's a perfect example of training for everybody else and not training for yourself. Those rides are great, don't get me wrong, but to do them every single ride is a big mistake. So I'm hoping this is a once a month event. Hey, Dave, how are you? Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'm going to pull up. Ooh, we don't want that. I'm going to, where do we go? Where do we go? Share screen. And we're going to pull up Mr. Swim Smooth. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have seen Mr. Swim Smooth. I'm going to wait until he pops up on the screen to see what you guys see. That's my Tri-Cap 3. There he is. So it's a little choppy, but not bad. Okay, so I'm seeing that what you guys are seeing, it's not too bad. So he's still, he's not perfect. He's pretty darn perfect, but he's not perfect. So we're going to talk about the 3. We're going to go over all the components of swimming, but we're going to focus on the 3 that I just mentioned because those are foundational. You can't move on to your stroke mechanics until your breathing, your balance, and your kick is pretty proficient. And you want to spend some time there, even as a more experienced triathlete, like some of these guys, you guys that are trying to do 10 and 11-hour Ironmans, you could still benefit from focusing on your breathing, your balance, and your kicking. You'd be surprised by including drills in your swim sets before you do your main sets of your, making sure you're breathing calmly and smoothly. You want to breathe, exhale through your nose. So Mr. Swim Smooth, like I said, he's not perfect. For me, his head position is a little forward and his head is a little high. If you practice on your own, being balanced in the water and you look straight down, your hips will naturally come to the surface. And that's what we want. Only more flexible people can keep their head forward like this. I've seen this time and time again where people see a video like this and they think they're supposed to keep their head forward. And when they do, their hips drop. Okay. So he's a little bit more talented. He's probably been swimming a long time. So as a beginner swimmer, face looking straight down, just a neutral head. But in the breathing aspect of it, notice he's blowing his bubbles every time his face goes in the water, bubbles come out. There's never a time where he's holding his breath. And someone mentioned in the comments yesterday about breath holding or not being able to breathe or running out of air. And this is probably the number one thing you can do to fix it is remember to blow your bubbles out of your nose. So 70% of the time you want to exhale through your nose and 30% of the time you want to be able to exhale through your mouth. Obviously, if you're in the open water and you get salt water in your mouth, you want to be able to spit it out, right? So you want to be able to do either or, but on a consistent basis, you want to blow bubbles out of your nose. Exhaling through your nose, just like we just did some nasal breathing. I don't know if you guys felt how calm you were after we did the nasal breathing. Nasal breathing is parasympathetic to the nervous system. It turns on your parasympathetic nervous system and relaxes you. So even when you're pushing hard and swimming hard, when you're exhaling through your nose, it gives you a place of calm. It keeps you in a place of calm. It's very, very cool if you start to practice this nasal breathing. And I'm going to give you a drill to follow along on this. Actually, I'll probably, and if I can't get it to play here, then I'll put it on my email that I'm going to send to you tomorrow of the bubble breathing exercise. Okay. And so what it does is it reprograms your breathing. So on the wall for a couple of days, every time you get in the water, you want to just practice exhaling through your nose for 3 seconds and then inhaling through your mouth. There should be no pause. So a lot of new beginner swimmers, they exhale and they most likely exhale through your mouth. So just changing that is a big step. And when you practice this, you want your feet on the floor and you want to be vertical. You don't want to be horizontal at first. If you have trouble, if you have no trouble, then you're good. But if you're struggling with the breathing, you want to have your feet on the bottom of the pool or in the ocean, and you're going to go up and down vertically because it helps your brain feel safe. And you're going to exhale through your nose 3 seconds. So if I count for Mr. Swim Smooth, a stroke cycle is about 3 seconds if he was breathing on the same side. It's a little bit longer because he's breathing every 3, but watch, breathe 1, 2, 3, breathe 1, 2, 3. So also, if you have trouble with your breathing in a swim, in the swim in general, breathe every right or every left and alternate maybe every 100 strokes or so. Or in the pool, you can practice breathing to the right on the way down and breathing to the left on the way back. You definitely want to have access to both sides. You don't want to be limited to just one side. And the sooner you start committing to that, the better. Okay, so that's a big skill. Your breathing skill is the most important skill to have. What happened? Where'd we go? Okay, let's try to refresh. Where'd we go? Mr. Swim Smooth, come back. All right, I don't know what happened. Okay, so breathing, that's number 1. Number 2 is, breathing and turning your head to the side. So let me figure out what's happening here, why he won't keep playing. Come on. So, all right, maybe there's like a time limit. I don't know. Okay, let's turn him off and stop share. All right, let me try to figure that out. Okay, so breathing, also you want to have one goggle in the water as you turn your head to the side to breathe. There should never be a time where you are having both goggles out of the water when you turn your head to breathe. That's a really, really important thing. So I don't know why this won't play. I'm kind of bummed out. Mr. Swim Smooth. Okay, so anyway, so breathing, I think we've covered. So one goggle out of the water only, one goggle in the water, exhaling through your nose 70% of the time, a 3-second exhale with a smooth inhale. And we can actually pull up, let's see if I can pull up the video. I'm gonna share my screen again. And let's see if I can pull up the video of me practicing my bubble breathing, which is one of the drills that I recommend. And this is something that you'll use forever. It's not like you're going to only use this drill when you're learning to swim. In all honesty, where did I put it here? I put it here. In all honesty, let's see if it's here. Where's my bubble breathing? Oh, that's the drill from earlier. Oh, this is the streamline. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go here next. This is the streamline focus. So this is about the flexibility, right? And this is where you're gonna have your balance as well.
Streamline is the fundamental body position in swimming. If you want to be an efficient swimmer, it starts with having a good body line. Start by extending your body, arms tall, with one hand over the other.
Okay, this is huge because I have athletes that come to me and they cannot physically get into this streamline position. And that's where the flexibility comes to be the limiter, okay? So you always want to be as streamlined as possible in the water. And this is something you can test for yourself. Can you look in the mirror? This guy is standing on the bottom of the pool. You can't see him, but he has hand over hand and his arms are completely straight and his biceps and actually his deltoids are touching the back of his head behind his ears. So this is super duper important in your ability to swim. If you don't have a streamline, you're always going to be creating more drag for yourself. Okay. So this is super duper important. I know we skipped over it. We went from breathing, but this is going to be important for your balance. I'm going to play the rest of the video so you can see what happens when he is streamlined off the wall versus someone else who's not as streamlined off the wall. You just have less resistance and you can go farther with the same amount of effort.
The thumb of your top hand should wrap around the hand underneath. Reach as far as you can. At this point, both your arms should be straight and your elbows locked out. If your arms are not in this position every time you push off the wall, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. The goal is to minimize resistance, and the best way to do this is by keeping your body as tight as possible. Take a look at this side-by-side comparison. Notice how much more momentum is carried off the wall when both arms are locked together and the eyes are facing down.
So you guys, that is so huge because I have people, you know, we do an evaluation together or they send me their video analysis and we're on Zoom and they push off the wall and they look like there's no streamline. There's no intention of pushing hard. You want to be like a human spear and have the intention of pushing off in your streamline. I'm going to play that part again, just because it's so important. If you don't have the intention to pierce through the water, water is 4 times thicker than air. You're not going to go through, it's not going to let you in, right? But you also have to be gentle in your force, right? You don't want to be aggressive to the point where it resists you. Water will let you through if you are intentional about piercing.
Notice how much more momentum is carried off the wall when both arms are locked together and the eyes are facing.
So look, he got a good probably 6 feet farther than this top guy that has no streamline, right? His hips are down, his legs are apart, his feet, his head's looking forward, his arms are apart. They're not in that piercing hand over hand position. And, I know you guys are going to ask me a question. Well, I'm swimming open water. Like, I don't have walls in the open water, and I'm not going to be pushing off a wall. But guess what? You know what the pool does for you? The better you swim in the pool, the better your streamline is going to be in the open water. Every lap you swim and you push off in that perfect streamline, it reminds you of that streamline and the intention of being very, very hydrodynamic. So the repetition of pushing off that wall in that streamline makes you so much more streamlined in the ocean. And it's even more important when you're in the ocean because of all the waves and all the rocking up and down. Salt makes you a little bit more buoyant, so that's helpful. But reminding yourself of that streamline off the wall is so, so, so important. So I'm gonna finish up.
This should be how you start every length of swimming. Once you've mastered pushing off the wall and streamline, you'll notice you take less strokes and carry more speed into your first stroke. You'll engage your core as you.
So this is another big tip is most people, it's good to test your streamline off the wall. Just go ahead and test it and see how far you get. Like literally coast, push off the wall in your streamline and coast and see how far you can get, and then come up and look where you are in the pool. How far did you make it? You should, aim to get to that point minimally before you take your first breath off the wall. And ideally, you're kicking every single time you push off the wall, kicking 2 to 3 seconds before you take that first stroke. So this second push or this last push off, he starts to kick a little bit. And that's another big tip. You need to turn on your engine as soon as possible after you're pushing off the wall.
More speed into your first stroke.
Right? So he starts kicking, kick.
You'll engage your core as you begin to heighten your body awareness while in the water. And that's the key to fast swimming.
Yeah, so this is an even better push off. Notice what touches the surface of the water
heighten
first.
Your body awareness while in the water.
Watch.
And that's the.
So he's in a perfect streamline, but he's completely underwater. Really great streamline, but watch. What's the first thing that comes to the surface? Not his head, definitely not his hands. We don't want your hands to be at the surface of the water. It's his engine, his feet. So he's already on the plane. Like if you have a boat and you just start your engine going and you're dragging and the nose of the boat is up and your engine is down. He's preventing that by pushing off in the streamline and making sure he's completely hydrodynamic right off the bat. And if you notice, his feet are breaking the surface, his hip is breaking the surface, and then his left arm is out of the water, taking that first over recovery, right? After he took, or actually it's right there. He's taking his first stroke, and then he's going to take his next stroke and be in the water. All right, cool. So any questions about that? Any questions about your streamline? Your breathing? What's up, Derby? I feel like my breathing is great when I use my pool buoy and your swim shorts. Yes, you're one of those people. No, I'm just messing with you, Dave. So yeah, but as soon as I start kicking, it's totally different. Okay, so this is another flexibility issue, unfortunately. So triathletes are biking and running way more than they're swimming because most of them don't like to swim. But it's really a big misconception. You actually can swim more. It doesn't take as much of an effect on your body, and it helps you recover from the bike and the run. But the reason why triathletes use those swim shorts and have to use buoys so much to help themselves is because of the flexibility of their hips. Okay, you guys are kicking from your knees, right? As opposed to kicking with straight legs. And if we can get Mr. Swim Smooth to play again, which I'm going to be working on, you will notice how straight his feet are. Okay, so we talked about breathing. Any questions more about breathing? Reminder, I would love for you to try some different things. Even you guys that are more experienced, breathe every right on the way down, breathe every left on the way back. Also include those 3, 5, and 7 and 9 strokes without taking a breath. Those are your more advanced people. The more beginners, I want you to bubble breathe on the wall every chance you get. So every time you're resting on the wall, or you just do a 120, just do a single 25, practicing your kicking or whatever it is, stop on the wall and bubble breathe. It will calm you down. It'll help you remember your streamline, and your balance is what you're working on, right? So you want to create this pattern in your brain that you don't have to think about it. You want to be just like on land. Do we think about how we breathe on land? No, it just happens. It's very automatic. Now, do we have to think about how we breathe in the water? Yes. What happens if we breathe water? We don't make it. Although I do say I'm a mermaid, so maybe I could make it. I don't know. So definitely, Dave, you got to work on your hips, your hip flexibility, and your ankle flexibility. And I can go into more of that as well. Mary Liz, I run out of breath and start to freak out even on the push off. So that means you're holding your breath, or you're dumping your breath too fast. So it's a very simple exhale. And a lot of times coaches will recommend humming. So you're going to inhale in through your mouth. The bubbles are going to be coming out of your nose. If, Mary Liz, you're out of breath, even you're going too far, right? It's only a 3-second push off the wall. That's number one. Or you're exhaling way too hard. So it's your, like, that's way too hard. It needs to be slow and steady and controlled. Don't dump it all. Make it last that 3 seconds. And then you're getting on your side to take that first breath, good solid breath of air on the side. And then honestly, even though you've been swimming with me a while, you need to be practicing your bubble breaths on the wall. It's just one of those things you got to go back to. And it seems silly, but it's going to reset you. And after just a few weeks, you'll be good to go. What's better, to breathe every 3 strokes or every other stroke? So there's a time and place for everything. So there are swim snobs and swimmers that were swimming since they were 2 years old, and they can get away with breathing every 3 strokes, no problem, and still have a great performance and never go hypoxic. But that's not me. I didn't learn how to swim until I was 26 years old. And I will tell you, I was very comfortable in the water, but it took me a while to get all the mechanics working in the right way. But I took it really seriously because I really loved it and I wanted to get faster, right? So if you have the intention of improving, you can. But as far as breathing every 3 strokes, I could never do it. You know, I had asthma as a kid. My lung capacity is actually really, really good, but it just gives me that sense of being uncomfortable. So I started coaching athletes the same way as me, breathing every right or on the way down and every left on the way back. Sorry, my dogs are barking. But what I found is I was able to actually perform the rest of my swimming better because I had more oxygen coming in. I was able to focus on my high elbow catch and pay attention to if my legs were bending in my kick. So by breathing every right or every left, besides being an awesome skill to have in the open water and have the choice of breathing whichever side I wanted to, it also allowed me to perform the actual swim movements better. And when I started coaching my athletes this way, the same thing happened. They could think about things in their high elbow or their hands in the right position, et cetera, because they had more oxygen coming in on a regular basis. And of course, the difference between triathlon swimming and swimming for just swimming is we're out there for a 400 all the way to a 2.4 or longer. And you got to bike and run after, and you don't want to go hypoxic. You don't want to burn so many matches in the water from holding your breath for extended periods of time or exhaling for longer periods of time with a 3-stroke count, that you don't have the energy or the oxygen coming into you, or you burned a match, so that you feel it on the bike, right? You want the swim to be efficient, but not to the point where it wastes you that you can't bike and run to your capability. Okay, so Good question, Ollie. If I use a kickboard and use only my legs and I actually end up going backwards, this is such a great question, Dean. So yeah, this is so true. This is flexibility. So it means you're not using your hips to kick and your balance isn't there. That's why I focus on these three essentials, and they're progressive. If you don't have your breathing, you don't have your balance, and you don't have your kick, it doesn't matter how perfect your stroke mechanics are. Your arms could be doing everything right, but because you have so much drag, or you're actually pulling yourself backwards from your kick, from your inability to have a flexible ankle, you won't be moving forward. So I feel your pain and I definitely can help you. So definitely need to work on your ankle flexibility, and you need to be able to get your ankle straight. So a great exercise is just to sit on your knees and point your toes away from you. And if your shins are touching the floor, you know you have the minimum amount of flexibility needed. But you could definitely benefit from stretching your ankles, and then also your hips. So the stretch for your hips, the minimum stretch is you're lying flat down on the ground, and you have your forehead on your forearm, and you're reaching your ankle back. You need to be able to touch your heel to your butt. If you can't touch your heel to your butt, you're not going to be able to kick from the proper place. Okay. And then of course I have swim specific strength moves to make sure your kick is strong in that position. Okay. Yes, Rosa, you're a mermaid, but you don't have a lot of power. So Rosa, for you, strength training is going to be your best friend. You have the mobility. You don't quite have the arm mechanics yet, but you definitely have the mobility, and you have the balance, and you have a kick. But what you need is doing push-ups, pull-ups, and you need to be doing your squats to strengthen those hips, and your flutter kicks in the water, ideally in deep water too. So Larry, I do 2, then 4, doing an issue with nasal problem on the right nostril. Okay. Yeah. I've had other people that physically, when they breathe to one side, there's like a hole in their septum and then water goes right in. So that's fine. I like that. So 2 is great. And then 4, if you want to extend it, and maybe go 6 and 8, right? Extend that sometimes for certain sets, right? So I practice child's pose in yoga to help my ankle flexibility. Awesome. So there's another way you can do it, but just sitting up and then leaning back and lifting your knees up. Another good one to stretch your ankles is to put the tops of your feet on a foam roller in the same position as child's pose. And that just takes it up a notch. So you get that added mobility, because you don't want just the minimum. You want a little bit extra. Yeah. Heel to butt. So I also have a flexor stretch that's awesome to help open the hips. So I'm going to send you guys these in an email with links to my YouTube channel, but I do have a whole swim playlist on my YouTube channel. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can get Mr. Swim Smooth to play again, but it's not looking good. I don't know what the heck happened here. So I'm going to turn him off and then turn him back on and see if we can get him to come back. All right, you guys, any questions? We're kind of dialing it down for the swim. I did have some other notes. Oh yeah, so we talked about being progressive, that you have to master your breathing, your balance, and your kick before you can master all the things that come with your stroke mechanics. Hey, Barbara, how are you? So stroke mechanics are this whole other venue. I think I'm still sharing my screen. I'm trying to find Mr. Swim Smooth. Let me just see if I can pull him up again. So Swim Smooth, here he is. Let's see if I can get him to play. Come on, buddy. Okay, here we go. Let's do it. Let's do it. Where are you? Okay, I'm not sure what's going on. Not here. All right, so I'm not sure why he will not play. Let's see if I can get him. Okay, there he is. Come on, buddy, let's play. Oh my gosh. I have him as like an app on, like I bought the whole thing. I'm not sure why this is happening, so I apologize. Come on. Not happening. All right, I guess I'm not going to be able to send it. Oh, here we go. Yay, he's back. Okay. So we're going to finish up the rest of everything. Okay. So we talked about breathing. The second is balance. So right here is balance, meaning, okay, pause. Why won't he pause? None of my things are working. Here we go. There. Okay, so his streamline is here. So he's on his side. He's streamlined on his belly, his back, and his side, or he's not on his back. But this is like probably the most important position in swimming. When you're on your side, his hand's not up, it's not down, it's just perfectly in line with his side body. And his legs are kicking. Yes, they have to come apart to create propulsion. And here's this one eye goggle bend, this one eye goggle in the water. This is balance. That's what I mean by balance. So if you take a video of yourself, you guys, your head should not be sticking straight up when you breathe. Most people, when they breathe, both goggles are out of the water. And then you wonder why you have drag. Okay. So this is what I mean by streamline and balance. He's got it. Okay. So as he takes a stroke, we're going to actually watch his kick. So notice how straight his legs are, Dean. Okay. There is no knee bend. And also notice how floppy his ankles are. Okay. That is what creates propulsion. You guys can't see this? Oh no. Thanks for telling me. You should have told me sooner. Oh, okay. So let me see. Okay. Share screen. I'm so sorry. There, he's back. Okay, now you guys can see. Okay, no, I don't want to. Okay, so here he is. Let's see if he starts playing. Let me see if you guys can see. There you go. Freestyle. I will say we joke at Masters, my freestyle is slower to improve, yet right now butterfly is faster. That's hilarious. You know, I wish you could do butterfly on a whole Ironman, right? Or a whole nationals or a sprint or Olympic, but you can't. But honestly, Larry, that's a good sign because that means you do have good hip mobility if you can do fly well. And it also means you have a good catch. So I suppose it has something to do with your timing. So that's why I would love to see a video of you from the side to see how your timing is going, because most likely that's the issue. If you're able to do butterfly, you should definitely have a very fast freestyle with regards to your hips and your catch. So definitely try to get that video posted. Okay, so we talked about breathing, the bubbles. We talked about streamline. I'm going to pause again so you guys can see this. But here's the streamline, right? He's got his ankle breaking the surface of the water and his hand down here, and he's perfectly balanced, even with his high elbow up here, right? He's perfectly balanced in the water. So many times when I videotape people, their hips are a good 2 feet underwater. Their legs are dragging even lower, and they wonder why they're not moving anywhere, right? Their head's up too high, their hands are reaching up to the surface, and they don't have any traction in the water, right? They don't have any balance. They're not relaxed in this position. So literally playing around and floating on your belly and on your side and on your back and trying to hold that streamlined position is so, so, so important to be able to then produce the power to push yourself forward, okay? So we talked about breathing, we talked about balance, we talked about kick. So this is where the kick is coming from his hips. There's no knee bend. I mean, a very slight, maybe 10 to 20% knee bend, but that's it. So Dean, if your legs are not looking like this when you kick, most likely that's why you can't move forward. You're literally creating too much drag with your knees bending and your feet flexing. Your feet flexing can literally be like a rudder that holds you back, okay, from moving forward, okay? So then the next couple components, we're not going to get into the details of, but these can be deal breakers as far as why you're not moving. And those are your stroke mechanics, right? So we're going to talk about your stroke mechanics. So there's 5 parts: your entry, your reach, which is right here. He's reaching with his right arm. Then you're going to be your catch. So this is probably one of the most important components, is your high elbow catch. Rarely do I see anybody that sends me a video doing a high elbow catch. It just doesn't exist. People pull with a straight arm. And so the email that I sent out today was talking about how to train a high elbow catch. And then it's enter, reach, catch. This is the catch. And then the finish is all the way down past your hips. So enter, reach, catch. And then there's the finish. past your hips. So many swimmers pull out right here. They get their hand past their chest and they pull their elbow out and start over again. You've got to finish enough to get on your side, to glide for a second and get as much distance per stroke, okay? And if this is too overwhelming for you, then you need to go back and master the breathing, the balance, and the kick. Because if you're ready to take on the stroke mechanics, it comes organically. You want to know this and you don't think it's too much, right? So the last part of the stroke mechanics is your recovery. High elbow, hand close to body recovery. This creates the least amount of disturbance in your body as you take over and catch with your opposite arm, right? So a big, high, straight arm recovery, it takes more work. There's more resistance in the air with a big, straight arm, okay? So remember, it's enter, reach, catch, finish, and then the top part over the water is called your recovery. So this is the last piece I'm going to share with you guys is your timing today. So this is a lot of great information, but timing means, so you're never faster than in this position, okay? When your arm is overhead. And the taller you are, the more advantage you have, okay? So if you're tall, you have no excuse to not be a fast swimmer, except if you're super tight. But this is the fastest you can go, the longer you are, right? So we want to try to be as long as possible. And the way to do that is make sure it's called front quadrant swimming. You want to have both arms overhead during the stroke cycle. So I'm going to push play and try to time it. So right here, he's recovering, and then both of his arms are overhead. This arm is doing all the work right now, but this arm is about to take over, as opposed to having opposite arms, where one arm is up and the other arm is down here, which is kind of like a helicopter. We don't want to swim like that. We want to swim, it's almost catch-up style, right? It's not quite catch-up, but it's almost catch-up style, right? Where one arm is always entering the water or pulling you forward. That's the timing piece, okay? All right, you guys, do you have any questions? So, great. Bummer. Mary Liz, what's bummer? I hope you guys can see my screen. I see it on there. Okay, there is one more thing. I'm going to show one more thing. What time is it? We got some time. Okay, cool. We got time. So I'm going to show a different angle, and that's from the front. This is kind of really important. And this is actually relates to the video I sent today about how to get stronger and use your lats. This is the secret right here, right? So after your reach, okay, the first thing to do is get a high elbow right away, because this whole thing, his upper arm, his forearm, and his hand are now pulling him forward, not just a straight arm with a hand, okay? And remember, this is even drag, right? But having drag from an elbow bent, these are shorter levers to be able to pull you forward more easily than with a straight arm. So let's take a look at that on both sides. It's this nice 90-degree bend. So 90-degree bend from here across. He's got a nice straight line, high elbow to high elbow, and a nice 90-degree bend right here. This creates the most efficient catch. And I have some secret drills that I teach. We're going to be doing a lot of them at camp, next week. But if we work together virtually, I can definitely send you the videos on how to do them. But besides the one I just shared today, there are a lot of other drills and skills that you can practice to get this high elbow catch. But that's probably one of the biggest secrets of being a good swimmer. Okay, I think I'm done. Let's see. So your homework today to see how efficient you are. Oh yeah, one last thing is to swim smoothly. Okay, so many people fight the water. They think that to swim fast, you have to be aggressive, and that's exact opposite. You have to be smooth in the water to swim quickly and swim fast. So, oh yeah, your height, Mary Liz, this is true. But that doesn't mean you can't make up for it with your high elbow catch and a strong kick, okay? How do you gain stamina so you can work on good form? Good form seems exhausting. So relaxing, right? Being in that supple leopard, we talk about that. Like you want to have intention in the body, but you don't want to be forcing it, right? So building your endurance in the form of stroke count. That's your homework for today too. So this is the best way I have found to create endurance over time, is if you can get a consistent stroke count for hundreds, 200s, 300s, 500 consistent stroke count, you know you're being efficient as far as pulling the same amount or getting the most distance, the same amount of distance per stroke over the longer time, right? So your homework today is to swim a few, obviously get warmed up, and I want you to swim a few 25s and count your strokes, okay? So stroke counting is definitely a great parameter to be finding out how efficient you are in the water. And it blows my mind because some people, come and they send me their video and they're taking 35, 40 strokes across the pool. I mean, that's just exhausting. It should be every single person, no matter how tall you are, should be less than 20 strokes across the pool. Okay. With a very gentle kick, not over kicking, definitely not over stroking, but you should be able to get to under 20. Now, if you're not, you need to look at your breathing, your balance, and your kick. Those three things are going to be essential. And then finally, after those three things are masters, those three skills are masters, then you want to focus on this high elbow catch piece. Okay. The high elbow catch. And then finally the timing. So Larry, you want to look at your timing for sure, because if you're already that good of a swimmer with butterfly, then it's the timing for sure. So don't worry. Oh, so Mary Liz, I really think that you might be holding your breath. That's why it's so exhausting. So you got to work on your breathing. Isn't that crazy? You've been swimming for like 5 years or 4 years now, and the breathing is still an issue. So the breathing, it always comes back to breathing. All right, you guys, that's it for today. So post your homework. If you want to, again, we have Ollie's video in there. I'm going to put some comments under her video. So if you post something, I will comment in Facebook on the page what the feedback is that I have. Okay. And then look for an email from me tomorrow with some specific videos for drills to practice the skill of the breathing, the balance, and the kicking. Okay, you guys? Let's see if there's anything else. That's it. All right, guys. So tomorrow's all about the bike. I am excited about the bike. There's so many things you can do on the bike to get better. And again, it's one of those things that most people think they have to go hard all the time, and it's just not true. You can really learn how to be efficient in your cycling so that you don't waste so much energy. And it has to do with pedaling mechanics, which we're going to get into. It's going to have to do with bike fit, which we're going to get into. And also putting it all together for that perfect pedal stroke. All right, you guys, I'll see you tomorrow morning. For everybody who's here at the swim, have a great night.